if you can grab 2 towels of the same dimension, if you only have 1 towel, that will work, but ideally 2, and lengthwise, when you roll them up, you want to have them so that if I were to drape this behind my head, it goes about 3/4 of the way down my spine to the floating ribs, actually the base of the rib cage, where the diaphragm attaches. And we're going to be continuing to work with the back ribs, which, if you weren't here last week, has become my new quest. And it's material that I've worked on in a way for a long time, but now I want to integrate it into the breathing work, and then in turn any sort of movement work, so that when you move, you're a little bit more aware of your breath and how it can support and sustain your body. And so if you're just coming in, 2 towels, and we're going to use these 2 towels laid out on our mat to, in short order, lay ourselves down. What am I doing with the towels? Well, some of you, or most of you, may know the Western medical symbol of the staff with 2 snakes curlicuing their way up the staff. And in yoga, we have the staff of the spine. And then we've got, what are the snakes? Well, we have the 2 left and right channels, which are called the Ida and the Pingala. You don't have to know that. The 2 side energetic pathways that snake their way, almost like a helix, like a DNA helix, up the spine to support it. So you could also just think in terms of a tree, and then a couple of vines growing up around the tree, spiraling their way. And if you've ever seen some old trees with serious vines on them, eventually the vines will really become the support system of the tree. Even if the tree were to die or become weakened, the vines are like wrapping and helping in a spiral fashion the strength of the main stem of the tree. So that's another way to think about it. In yoga, we have a couple of ways to think about it. One is the breath channel in front of the spine. As you inhale, you're just coming into class. Inhale, you can place a hand on your belly and feel the breath come into and expand the diaphragm. And then another hand on the chest, and it comes all the way up into the upper ribs. And then release, just open your mouth and just go. And don't push the breath out, just let it be like a sigh, and just do that a few times. If you want, you could do this laying down too. And inhale, here comes the diaphragm. Can you feel it in the back ribs as well, expanding the whole perimeter? And then lifting each set of ribs up, spreading them like a cobra hood. Even the shoulders become lifted. The mouth opens as if in awe, and then just do a couple of this basic stuff. And we're going to do 20 of these breaths. And your body will want to move. And you can notice with your eyes closed, in through the nose if you can, out through the mouth. You're trying to fill the entire volume of the left and the right ribs, that it lifts the spine up. And you don't have to go particularly rapidly or slowly, just a natural but full breath 20 times. You can also just keep your hands resting on your knees, but all the way up, filling the whole jar, even under the armpits. It feels like you're lifted. And if you do this with your eyes closed, you'll feel maybe the bone structures that are moved by the breath, the expansion and release of the diaphragm, including the shoulder blades. Can you begin to feel the spreading the shoulder blades like a pair of wings, as if they were, wow, they were spreading open and then coming back down into their seats. About 10 more. Really full. Fill the container of the body. If you want, you can add a little upward lifting belly from the base of the spine, but don't tense the abdominals. It's really the diaphragm expanding. A couple more. Let the jaw relax too, the masseter muscle. When you exhale, you could even make a sound like a and shake your tongue loose. Or some people, right? How do you think the om probably came into being? Starting to slow it down now. We're really full. Everything lifting, scapula, neck muscles are relaxed. Oh, the whole container of the ribs, front and back, and then Now at the end of the next exhale, relax your belly, pause, no breathing. Everything relaxes. I'm talking, but I'm not breathing. I'm just sitting in the floating structure I've contained or created. Still not breathing, but I'm not tense either. I'm not holding my breath. My diaphragm's a little Buddha belly. Still not breathing. Calm. Who needs to breathe? Still haven't taken an inhale. Throat is calm. Vagus nerve is calm. From the throat, the tongue down into the diaphragm. Okay, I'm not going to show off. I still don't need to breathe, but let's do it again. Inhale. Diaphragm spreading, each set of ribs lifting. Don't throw your chest forward like that. Just think of the lifting equilaterally. 20. Again, if you want to add sound or ujjayi, I like to open the mouth initially so that the muscles in the mouth and the throat and the breath you can feel like fogging up a mirror is coming from the back of the throat. And I hate to say this, but I will. vomiting, rekasha is the Sanskrit, but also creating sensation on the dome, the cathedral of the upper palate, to the front of the, and feel the bone. Close your eyes as you lift. Don't go into the upper trapezius to lift the shoulders up. Let the breath, this takes work and practice. Sometimes I've had you keep going with your breath. Pull your rib cage up with straps or fingertips. We want to learn how to do this without that. If the body flows like a wave in a curl, up comes the curl, and then the wave disperses. Even the sit bones and the hips and the leg bones can feel that they're moving but relaxing. How many of the joints, hip and shoulder joint in particular, can move or be moved by the breath? 5 more. Neither too rapid nor too slow. You'll get slower as you become more adept. If you feel spacey, do this lying down. 1 more. Relax the shoulders, the belly, the throat, pause. Don't try to sit rigidly. Just float like you're in a little hot tub. And don't hold your breath. Stop your breath with deep calmness from the throat, center of the manubrium, right here where the collarbones meet, right down into the solar plexus for your anxiety and will center. And don't have to hold it. You can be scientific when you practice on your own. I haven't inhaled yet. And time yourself if you're kind of a nerd. But all you're trying to do is just wait. And that waiting, actually, the calmness, rather, waiting, will allow you to begin to sense the body more and the structures of the body, rather than a rigid enterprise where you become numb to your body. Athletes won't like me saying this, but they become numb to their bodies. Okay, 1 more time. I haven't taken an inhale yet, by the way. Okay. Here's my first one. Feels good. And now you can add this little C-shape roll back to the back of the sit bones like a wave coming in, all the way up the back ribs. Roll back. Open the chest. Like that. Gentle. Feel the action of the tailbone and the sacrum. The lifting and spreading of the shoulder blades. Let your head nod forward. As you inhale, it comes up, lifts like a seal, releases, roll back. Just gentle movement of the spine now, like undulating. But mainly feeling the breath fill all the cording of the ribs. You want to add sound, oh, or or just that's up to you. But don't get too caught up in that. How are you doing? Keep going. And you feel all the ribs spread away from the spine. And the whole rib cage lifting with a nice roll, rounded roll, wave roll up as the pelvis rocks. Shoulder blades spread and lift. Even the arms can get into the action with the elbows lifting out a little bit. And then coming down. As if you now had a pair of wings on your back. Wings are coming up. And you feel the wings of the scapula. Stay with it. Again, you feel dizzy, spacey, lay down. Jaw relaxed, tongue relaxed. Starts from the diaphragm in the belly. Relax the arms. Let the joints move from the breath. Two more. Ready? Relax. Close your eyes. Let your abdomen feel like a pond. Relax your tongue and shoulders. Your jaw. Your cheekbones. Relax deeper in the diaphragm and the organs below it. The hips. You're not slouching. You're just sitting like a baby would, kind of a little fluffy, roly-poly child floating. Feeling the sensations of the breath, maybe in the palms. Again, you don't want to hold your breath. If you feel your throat start to clench, your diaphragm panicking. Can you release a little more in the hips? As your tongue relaxes, your throat, your esophagus relaxed. Brush it down like this, in front of your chest, telling it to release. You don't need to breathe. You can train yourself, and so that your nervous system can do anything you want to try and calm yourself down, all these practices, but this is the one that's. Now, big inhale, and just close it off for 10 seconds. But float, feel the volume now that we've created, like a helium balloon floating, and then release. Okay, this is new stuff. I know it's a little bizarre, but Normal breath now, diaphragm relaxed. Can we do just one more and then you'll have it? You can lie down if you want to try it on your towels, which we're about to go to anyway. If you came and got 2 towel rolls, that you could just have one. And I'll do one lying down just so you can see it, but you can stay up if you want. Towel rolls are going to be pretty close together along the sides of the spine. They're going to allow you to feel the back ribs more. You can stay seated if you want for our last 20 breath enterprise. Or you can go down on your towel rolls, and I like to tuck the ends of them near my head in, kink them up a little bit into the cervical arch, and that way I've got some support, and then I'm in my Shavasana. So choose your position, so to speak. Now you'll be able to feel, and you could keep your knees bent if you want. That's more comfortable. Now you should be able to feel those back ribs. But here we go. Inhaling, starting with the diaphragm, all the way up, and then just release. Don't push the breath out. Can you feel the back ribs now rolling up from the bottom to the top? Stay with it. Make sure head is comfortable. If you need more support under it. Feel the whole thing. Can you extend it? As if it were filling the head. 5 more. One more. Total release. Relax. Pausing. Monitoring the throat, the esophagus, all the way down into the belly. Calm. As if you've just swallowed. Legs can extend if that's more comfortable. Toes splayed out. Again, when you need to breathe, do it and hold for 15. I haven't taken an inhale yet. But I'm monitoring any sort of panicky response, any sort of I have to breathe response. You can brush my chest downward like that. Like you're petting a dog or your cat. Okay, even if you can still stay, inhale. everything is full, and hold the top calmly, expansively, and then release. Okay, so now you're either on no towel rolls because you don't have towels, or two other side of the spine on the side ribs, or just one, doesn't matter. And now we're just going to let the tailbone move forward. On the inhales, we fill all the way up to the chest, and exhale, release the tailbone back toward us. And just start to let the breath undulate, relaxing the skull. Make sure, again, it's supported in a way that feels good. And I want you to feel the information of the towel rolls on the side ribs and the shoulder blades. Arms are comfortably out by the sides. Slow, deep breathing. Moving the sacrum back and forth. And you may notice that if you've got the towel rolls kinked under your occiput, as your hips roll forward, you get a little nice neck traction to move. But don't tense up against it. Don't try to overdo it. Really gentle. Arms soft. Okay? Stay with the slow rhythm that we've achieved in the breath. Inhale, we'll rock the hips forward, arching the low back a little. And exhale, just drop the knees softly over to the right. Not as much as we've normally done, just feel the weight of that towel roll or the mat if you just have that on your right rib cage. Inhale to center. Full breath in the container of the body. Exhale the knees to the left and just feel the, if you've got the towel roll on the left ribs, a little bit of information, and just start to inhale to center, exhale, ha. And you can stay with that open mouth. Simple stuff. And all we're trying to do is get in touch with the back ribs. Can you breathe into them now? So as you come to center, inhale, see if you can selectively breathe through your left nostril, up your left rib cage, and exhale, release to the left to the knees, and relax. From the center, can you inhale through the right nostril, all the way up the back of the right ribs, and then exhale, roll right, release. Just do a couple on your own. And we're going to let the head actually roll down the same direction as the knees. So as I roll left, I'm going to just let the head roll on the towel rolls too. Inhale right if you want. So that there's an integration of the whole side. Adjusting the towel rolls or abandoning them if they don't feel good. They're pretty close together so that you can roll out over them. So my right towel roll is a little far away. I'm going to sneak it in. So as I drop my knees to the right, I can roll like a rolling pin outward from the spine to the sides of the rib cage. And now the arms could start to feel like they could expand out, straight out from the shoulders. And as you roll, maybe a little deeper over your towel roll or on your mat, you can feel the scapula and the fascia between the shoulder blade and the spine get a nice little massage, and that travels out through the arm, back of the arm. The inner arm is open. Just a couple more, and we're just training and opening our back ribs. Okay, and then come to center. Bring your arms back toward a Shavasana. Straighten your legs briefly, and breathe. And just relax the shoulder blades. Okay, and then go ahead and pull your knees in, and you can roll off to one side, or if you want, you don't have any outstanding neck issues, take your hands in the back of your skull, and as you exhale, curl up and come up to seated. All right, so hopefully now, before you get too distracted, just sit for a second and feel the back ribs. And now you should, if you did the towel rolls, feel that you can really breathe in this rounded pattern up the back ribs with sensation, feel them spreading. And the problem is, especially after sleeping, as we do a couple of these rounded breaths, is that the ribs get sticky. So you can hold your knees now, and we're going to be moving on to standing soon, never fear, but we want to master this. Roll back, slight draw the lower abs, Uddiyana Bandha, which is upward lifting belly, and this comes up like an ocean wave all the way. Imagine it carving like a cantaloupe and opening and spreading the back ribs, the mid ribs. Now start to roll forward, the shoulder blades like a butterfly stroke, right? Here comes the scooping wave, spreading the back ribs up. And then I roll to the front of the sit bones. You can add this arm motion if you like, and keep the elbows and hands dangly. And let the ribs and the breath do the work. And if you have a shoulder injury, you can just do what we did on Friday, which is to cross the arms. Feel the shoulder blades move apart, and then as you exhale and sit on center, they come back together, not in a pinchy way at all. And now we're stretching that fascia between the shoulder blades that we did on the towels. Roll back, draw belly, spread back, mid and side ribs, and shoulder blades, head is dropped, gently rounded, and then exhale as I roll forward, my wings and my elbows settle. One more, inhale. It's just very simple but profound. Full breath up the back ribs, ocean wave, roll forward, and then let your wings, your elbows, your hands rest down. Now you found your true center line. If you're lucky, you feel like you're poised biomechanically. Your arm bones are relaxed, your collarbones, you're not thrusting your chest out, you're not pulling your shoulder blades together, you're just floating. So now you can move, which is nice. So let's stand and move a little bit and see what we can do with this. And I know a lot of people weren't here last Friday, so some of this will be a repetition, but it's all good to learn. And some of you have seen me do this in the past. So if you're a new student and you're like, well, first part of this class is just, this isn't the power yoga I signed up for. Then then watch just to show you where you could go eventually, where we can go. So let's stand in our Tadasana. And again, we want to feel a sense of fullness rather than contraction. So the nervous system really isn't like muscle contraction. I know it's good to lift weights. I do that. We'll get into that, what we should do with that. But right now, we've hopefully created this more like a helium balloon body to go from one foot to the other and float. You feel the joints and the shoulders and the elbows. Everything's able to shift. If you were to shift your weight into your left foot and then into your right foot, looking in the opposite direction. This is what you do when you go for a walk, right? Now with this relaxed body though, as you shift your weight into your right foot, can you breathe up through those back right ribs? And as you do, bring the right arm up to the sky as an auxiliary or the final piece of the lifting of that breath up the right ribs. So it's just floating here, and my scapula, the right scapula, I've turned slightly to the left to allow all those ribs to roll away from the spine. Just floating, and then exhale, release. We're going to shift the weight over to the left foot, and our chest is going to, as we roll, scooping our ocean wave belly up breathing up the left ribs. Here we go, like a chimp, all the way up like a shrug. And then magically with the lifting of the rib cage with the breath of that left, the left arm comes up, standing firmly down through the left leg. There's no muscular effort in the arm whatsoever. It's all the rib cage, full, the breath. Slight abdominal lift, yes. And you just go for a little walk like this with your breath. And you can, if you're in a deep breathing pattern from the earlier work, you're welcome to hold the top of the inhale. I'm now floating in my floating balloon body, pushing gently down through the leg bone. Then all this rib cage is open. A slight roll in to the other side. So as you shift to the right foot, breathe up. Really feel this now, that the back of the right ribs all the way up. Here comes the arm, gets lifted with the ribs around the scapula, and spin the palm in just a little bit. The palm is facing in. So where's the show off move? So if I were to slide my left toes back, I'm full, I'm inflated, and I can take a little dive down, back up, with no effort whatsoever if I wanted to, a little close to the wall. Let me show you again. So roll right, breathe up, the rounding, not a slumping, up the right ribs. Can you feel the articulation of all the right ribs? Bring that right arm up as your chest turns left. And I'm full of breath, helium. I look down if I wanted to, show off, and take a little dip. With my helium body, yes? You don't have to do that, but you can start to play with now as you shift left, slide your right toes back. Breathe up the left side of the spine, back ribs, come up, Throat is relaxed, tongue is relaxed. Arm floats up. The scapula, the shoulder blade, is moving away from the spine. It's not tucking in. I'm rolling the palm to the midline, maybe back toward me. You want a little challenge? You can take a little bow with your floating held inhale and then release. So up to you. Here we go. Step back with the unused foot, roll up, and then here's our walking motion. Now, and we're rolling to the side. So why is this ridiculous? Thing that I'm doing? Well, you're learning how to fully expand your rib cage and your breath, so that advanced postures in yoga aren't going to punch you. So let's go to the right foot. Bring the right arm up. Slide the left toes back. Bend the front knee. And step back to warrior two. And now our reverse warrior. If we keep the right arm lifting, we're lifting the right rib cage from the back ribs. Wow. Oh boy. And then let it come down. And just lay on the knee. Can you do that again? Straighten the front leg for a second. Inhale. Breathe up the right ribs. Start to sink down as you do this into the front knee. Billow out the right rib cage. Let the right arm come up magically. Relax the throat and the upper palate as if you were dropping a pearl or swallowing some food. How long could you stay here with your breath? Without any effort. This is all the breath. In this side, you can sink as low as you want, a little pelvic floor lift. Monitor the throat and the vagus nerve. Can we do both arms? First, crossing the arms, and if you need to come up out of the pose, straighten the front leg for a second. Cross the arms at the chest, look down and roll into a rounded shape. Feel the back ribs billow out. Come up the mid ribs. Shoulder blades move apart. Open the arms out from the inhale. I'm still just letting the inhale unwind and then exhale. Scoop up, hands to shoulders. Round, bring the breath up the back ribs, mid ribs, shoulder blades open, arms get lifted magically up. Sink down into the pose. Pause, float. But as soon as you've lost your helium, the expansiveness of the ribs, the pose is over, posture's over. Everything suffers. And that's why we did the initial exercise. I haven't taken an inhale yet, by the way. Okay. Release. Let's try the other side. Come to standing. This is new stuff. It's weird. I think it's going to be really profound. So we shift the weight to the left foot. Right toes go back. Close your eyes if you need to. Draw the left belly in a little. Here come the back ribs. I'm mimicking it, showing you with my left hand. They billow out and up away from the spine. The next set of ribs, the scapula. It's all breath, intercostal. Up comes the left arm. Wow. I spin my gaze over to the right. I bend the front knee. Step back to warrior two with a reverse warrior formation. And the left rib cage is still loading. So there were yogic saints that used to walk around with their arms lifted, and they never came down. Now you maybe are getting a taste of how I can just keep this arm up forever with my breath. It isn't about reverse warrior jamming the body back or any of this nonsense. That's an active way to try and stretch the fascia. It may work on a temporary basis, but it won't last. We're using our breath to sustain this, all this fascia, where we had the towel roll all the way up. And we're keeping the throat calm. And then down comes the arm. And we do both of the arms, warrior two. You don't have to have a deep stance like I am, but I'm, of course, training my body to deal with lactic acid buildup, which is why this warrior and other stances were designed to, instead of being an active athlete and getting that sort of exercise, I'm getting exercise through breathing and strong legs, yes, but I'm sustaining my body. I'm able to deal with this buildup of metabolic waste by using my breath. Is what this is supposed to be about. Crossed hands to shoulders, roll back. By that I mean round the spine and draw the transverse abdominals in. Now you can see the back aspect. If I were to brush my back ribs apart, and I come up with the inhale up the next set of ribs. Next set, the shoulder blades are apart, right? I had my arms open. And then up come the arms from the breath. Broad shoulder blades, collarbones open. Up. Exhale without losing the inflation of the ribs. And just pause. Do it again. Inhale. Come up the back ribs, roll all the way up. This takes enterprise. Shoulder blades move apart. All this space in the upper neck lifts the arms. Ah. You can even look up. And then sink down deeper and float. Without collapsing, how long could you do this? Joints are relaxed. The elbow joints are extended but not locked. Shoulder joints, same thing. Give them a shake. Yes? Okay. Step the feet together. Eyes closed. Feel evenness in the two sides. Actually, take your feet right under your hips. Can you feel the two sides? And of course, you'll have a dominant side. And unfortunately, the more you breathe into that side, the other side will suffer. That's where your injuries will generally come, for most people, the left side. So active practice of breath in the left side will be really important. Okay, a couple more. I'm going slow, but it's new. So remember the preliminary walking motion, which I want you to try today. And the dancers in the group will be rejoicing because they know this looks very familiar. And I'm using the breath and the fascia, which is tied into the breath, to extend while keeping the joints, shoulder joint and everything else, right? I'm doing pranayama. Inhale. Maybe I can pause without tension here. I don't need to take an exhale, but I will. Why are these long breaths with the motion of the body a revolution? Because you're calming your nervous system, but at the same time you're enervating the fascia of the body and allowing it to do. Again, I want to take a deep dive. That's my inhale if I want to do some crazy move. That's no effort. It's a balancing effort, yes, but otherwise it's completely different from what your physical trainer would have you do. We're using the power of the breath. So this is your basic exercise homework, is to go for a walk and you can look up if it feels good. Now we're going to go into the right foot, just balancing on the left toes. Up comes the breath through that back of that right rib cage, the arm. Don't overstretch. Everything is integrated like a nice bed sheet. Bend the front knee and step back. Straighten the front leg. Bring up the breath on the right side. Feeling. And remember the roll now. This is external rotation of the arm. What are we doing? So we're moving the rib cage away from the spine as we did on the towel roll. And now we're going to dive into triangle pose. Without deflating, and just come up. Without deflating these lower ribs. So this is where this differs from a lot of yoga classes you may have taken where the person said, well, go ahead, put the hand down on the floor of the block, even push into the knee, just slightly better. I'm not going to collapse. You need to bend the front knee a little bit in the upper ribs. Then what happens? Then I have to breathe in through the other ribs. Up come the left ribs. Oh, that brings that arm up too. And I come up with an inhale with both arms. And I relax and it feels wonderful. Hopefully. Can we do the other side and then we'll have to wrap this bizarre class up? So the weight goes into the left foot, the heel is anchored down like a post. And I breathe up, scoop my belly in just a little, and I breathe up. Oh, feels so good. Open all the ribs in the left side. The shoulder blade moves away from the spine, the rolling the palm in. Relax your throat and your jaw. Slightly bend the front leg, coming back to a warrior two. Straighten the front leg. And the next inhale. Bring the breath. You got to work here, kids. Here it comes, brushing and moving puffing out all this fascia. And as I exhale, I don't deflate the arm. You can bend the front knee. So you could even just inhale, and holding the best quality, the inhale floating. None of this ribcage has deflated, but let's try the other one. Can you even feel it in the left nostril? Comes all the way up. Roll the palm in. Coming down. Then, from the base of the right ribcage, here it comes. All the way up like a puppet string. Up the right ribcage. The right scapula. And at the end, it brings me, top of the inhale, floats me all the way. It's so wonderful. My eyes pop open, my jaw pops open. And I float. I bring my feet together, close my eyes, make sure my shoulders are relaxed. Okay? So that's the new stuff, kids. Let's take a forward fold by bending our knees, holding our elbows, and you can feel the back fascia here from gravity. It's a little more aggressive than I want, but see if you can breathe. Even though you hang, don't be passive. Scoop your belly in and open the back ribs and the low back, mid back, shoulder blades. Just be able to shake the head, armpits. Exhale, ha. Open the mouth. Again, undulate the wave. Knees are bent. Open the low back. Tailbone is dropped, curved. Come up, side ribs, shoulder blades, exhale. One more, like a wave, scoop the belly in, open the back. Side ribs, ribs are spreading away from the spine, shoulder blades. The neck is open. Then take your toes out like a duck. Sit your hips down, Malasana. And have a seat. Really simple class, and yet the hardest class ever. So sitting here, shift the joints, feel the softness of the palate, the breath in the body, in the nose, the jaw, the throat open. We should have a sense of aliveness in the fascia. So that if you're a meditator, you can now sit or lie down and you just feel like $1,000,000. We didn't jump around like a bunch of yoga monkeys. We didn't do gymnastics. Completely different. Let's do an Om to finish. And remember, the sound is really an incorporation or an encapsulation of this rolling, and it comes up the back of the palate and forward to the front of the palate, and it gets the brain involved in the rollback. Here we go. Use your breath. Back ribs, side ribs, upper shoulder blades. Ready? Soften the palate. Let the exhale pause. Let the belly soften. Bring the palms to the heart. I'm still not inhaling, but you can. And when the exhale begins to pause, you drop deep into this center line.